Most people believe you need 1 million or more to live off your investment income. Now, that assumption is built on traditional, right, dividend investing, right? SCHD, dividend stocks, VU and chill, where yields sit at 1 to 3.5%. At those yields, yes, you need a very large portfolio to have some decent income. But a generation of covered call ETFs now exists that changes this math significantly. Funds that are specifically engineered to generate 8 to 14% in monthly distributions. And when you run the numbers at those yield levels, the capital required to generate some nice monthly income really drops dramatically, often well below the $500,000 portfolio range. And here's what these funds are, what they currently pay, what the trade-offs look like, and what the math actually produces for our portfolios. Now, there are really 4 funds that dominate this category right now that we're going to be talking about in today's video. The first one is JEPI. This is JP Morgan's Equity Premium Income ETF. Trades around $57 a share as of, late July when I'm shooting this. Current yield 8%, assets under management $45 billion. It holds S&P 500 stocks and sells ELNs, equity-linked notes, to generate monthly distributions. The July 2026 distribution came in at 38 cents a share, down about 1.5% year to date due to the low VIX environment that is compressing the premiums for us. JEPQ, this is JP Morgan's NASDAQ Equity Premium Income ETF. Trades around $58 currently, current yield just under 11%. Trailing 12-month dividend came in at $6.26 a share. July 2026 distribution, 63 cents per share. Assets under management around 35 billion. Same ELN structure as JEPI, but with the NASDAQ 100 exposure. Higher yield, higher volatility, 1-year total return, about 17%. SPYI, this is NEOS S&P 500 High Income ETF, trades around $52 a share. Current yield, just over 12%. Expense ratio, 0.68%. And it uses actual S&P 500 index options with 1256 tax treatment. So 60% it gains tax at long-term rates, 40% at short-term. There's a significant return of capital component here historically. 1-year total return, just over 15%. QQQI is the NEOS NASDAQ 100 High Income ETF, trades approximately $52 a share, current yield over 14%, expense ratio 0.68%, same section 1256 structure as SPYI, but on the NASDAQ 100, assets under management just over $7 billion. So all 4 of these, they pay monthly, all 4 hold equity, all 4 use options overlays to generate that income that they're giving us. But here's the key framework. What is each fund's income source, and does that source behave consistently, or is it seen to be always variable? Every one of these funds obviously generates income primarily from selling options premium, okay? Option premium is not a fixed coupon. It rises when market volatility is elevated and falls when it's calm. The VIX at approximately 15, right, well below its 12-month average of 18, that's exactly why JEPI's July distribution was lower rather than how it was in May. This variability is really the most important thing to understand before you're building some sort of income plan around these funds, okay? A budget that requires, let's say $3,000 a month exactly in distributions will have quiet months that produce, let's say, $2,600 and active months where maybe it produces over $3,000. You got to plan around the average rather than just the floor. That's really important. Now, on this channel, we talk about selling our own covered calls and selling our own options and collecting the premium without paying any sort of expense ratios or fees, right, on good high quality dividend paying stocks. So you're definitely going to want to attend the full ARC option strategy workshop. It'll be the first link in the description of today's video. At the end, you get my 15 favorite stocks under $30, my 2 premium calculators, and my full trade lock template. So make sure to register for that training after today's video. But let's talk about the capital math at different income levels here. And this is really what the capital requirement really looks like at each of the fund's current yield, right? To generate, let's say, $2,000 a month, JEPI requires approximately $300,000. JEPQ requires approximately $220,000. SPYI requires just under $200,000. QQQI requires approximately $166,000. To generate $3K per month, JEPI, you're going to need around $450K. JEPQ, $330K. SPYI, just under $300,000. QQQI, approximately $248,000. To generate $4K per month, JEPI, you're going to need $600,000. Technically over the $500,000 threshold, but JEPQ gets there at $442, SPYI $394, QQQI $331. At the top 3 funds by yield, $4,000 per month is achievable on less than $500,000. But what do each of these funds cost in taxes, right? Because the tax dimension changes which fund is actually better in each account type. And this is really important, an afterthought for most people. JEPI and JEPQ generate primarily ordinary income. In a taxable account, let's say a 24% bracket, 8% yield becomes 6% after federal tax. 10.85% becomes 8.25%. Held in a Roth IRA, both figures stay full. The ordinary income classification obviously disappears. SPYI and QQQI use Section 1256 options that get the 60-40 long-term and short-term treatment. This is important. These distributions have historically included significant return of capital that isn't taxed in the year that it's received. In a taxable account, this tax treatment produces way higher after-tax income for us than when you compare us with a JEPI or JEPQ at the same pre-tax yields, okay? The practical guidance, at least for me, is this. JEPI and JEPQ belong in like a Roth IRA where the tax character is completely neutralized. SPYI and QQQI belong in a taxable account where their favorable tax structure actually saves us some real money annually. But we also have to talk about NAV. This is the big one. One honest concern with all these funds, right? When you're distributing 8 to 14% annually, the sustainability of the NAV really matters. JEPI at 57 has maintained relatively stable NAV over its history because the S&P 500 companies it holds have, of course, appreciated. SPYI has performed similarly. QQQI is newer, only about like 18, 20 months old, so the long-run NAV track record is still being established here. But here's the risk. If the underlying index significantly underperforms and the fund is distributing more than it earns in premium, the NAV obviously declines. That decline reduces the position value and obviously the future dollar amount of the distributions that you're going to be getting, okay? But here's a summary of all this stuff, right? Because living off covered call ETF distributions with less than $500,000, it's mathematically sure it's achievable, right? JEPQ, SPYI, and QQQI all can generate $3,000 per month or more from under $350K at current yields. That's a real shift from what traditional dividend investing, requires of us. But the trade-offs are also real too. This income varies with market conditions, right? The tax situation changes significantly based on which account holds the fund, and NAV sustainability, it's a genuine long-term question still, particularly for a lot of these newer funds that are popping up every single day. The right portfolio probably combines two of these funds, right? One for each account type, right? JEPQ and the Roth, where ordinary income compounds tax-free, SPYI or JEPIC or QQQI in the taxable account, where, at least they get the 1256 structure, which reduces the annual tax bill. That combination covers both income efficiency and obviously tax efficiency simultaneously. Look, I hold a lot of these. JEPI and JEPQ in my Roth, SPYI and QQQI sit in my taxable brokerage, where actually that tax treatment does some actual work for me. I don't rely on these funds alone, right? They sit alongside a whole bunch of other stuff, SHD, SPY, and QQQ, as part of my larger income architecture that I have going on. But the math on living off these funds with, less than $500,000, it's possible, right? The income arrives monthly. The yields are there. The variability is honest and it's manageable if you plan around it rather than assume you're getting some sort of fixed payment forever. I got some questions for you guys, as always, in the comment section. Number one, knowing that SPYI and QQQI have more favorable tax treatments in taxable accounts than like a JEPI and a JEPQ, does that change which fund that you would personally prioritize your brokerage versus your specific Roth that you are investing in? And number two, at current yields, what monthly income number are you specifically working towards? And how much capital would you need to get there with your current fund of choice? Let us know down below in the comments. If you're just getting started with all this stuff and you want to learn how to sell options on your own high quality dividend paying stocks like we do here on this channel, you're going to want to attend the full ARC Options Strategy Workshop. It's the first link in the description. At the end, you get my 15 favorite stocks under $30, my 2 premium calculators, and my full trade log template. As always, guys, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.